Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an excellent attacking game to share with you from 1996. Two dynamic players on board. On the white end, Vasyl Ivanchuk, and he's up against Veselin Topalov. Opening-wise, it is an open Sicilian. I think this game does a nice job of reminding us of the weakest square in Black's camp, f7. Typically, this is a point targeted out of the opening phase. In this one, it's targeted in an atypical way in the middle game. All right. Novgorod Variation. This is securing the queen post once she's on c7. She won't be bugged by a knight. Also some prep work for queenside expansion. Eventually. Bishop e2, classical variation, and e6, Scheveningen Variation. Now, I'd like to caution those of you who may be on the black side in this very position, caution you about playing b5 too soon. It may seem like this is the first available moment. You could play b5, but do know after b5, white could play bishop f3. This is a bit of an irritating move to deal with. You could shut down the possibility of e5 with playing e5 yourself. There's problems with that, creating a weakness on d5. But here's a quick way you could already lose as black. Bishop b7, e5. All right, my point here is that there is an important prep move black should be playing before black is ready to go with b5. I'll be highlighting what that move is soon enough. e6 on board, castles, bishop e7, white gets rolling with a pawn duo, black castles, and white takes some time out to secure the king, get off of the open diagonal. If white tries to press in the center with e5 while the king is still on g1, black could take advantage of that. After e5 takes, there's a pinned knight. You take my knight, I take your knight and say check, and then circle back to recapture on f6. Okay. Safety first, move 9. Now, white is ready to go with e5. Now, black stops it. Two tasks are being performed by the black queen. This is one, stop e5, and the other is to secure the bishop once it's on b7. This is the prep move I was speaking of earlier. Queen c7 now preps the b5 advance. For instance, if white plays a3 here, b5 could be played no problems. Bishop f3, so what? Bishop b7. Two important tasks from c7. Okay. a4. This was the first moment black was ready to play b5 successfully. This is when white cuts it out. Knight c6. Bishop e3, rook e8. What's happening with rook e8? Opens up a square for the bishop, also prepares to challenge white's pawn duo with e5. Additionally, this move, rook e8, is leaving f7 a bit more vulnerable. So there's a progression in the game. In the initial setup, we recognize f7 as the weakest square. Then black castles, and f7 is strengthened. There's a rook there defending it. Some moves later, the king rook is excited about going to some other square. It is then back to a weakened square. It's difficult to predict how or anticipate how this is going to be taken advantage of, but I think it's a useful note you could be making to yourself. Weakened, strengthened, back to weakened once that king rook moves. All right, from here, bishop f3, rook b8, g4. Each side is ready to go with the knight pawns in order to scare away a knight. Okay, from here, bishop f8, g5, knight d7, bishop g2. My initial thought with bishop g2 is, okay, you're getting out of the queen's way. Maybe she comes out here. That could show up in some lines, or even a rook pivot on f3, looking for some kind of caveman type attack along the h-file. I think another note we could be making about this move is that we're staying out of reach of a knight. White's ready to next play f5 possibly, and you don't have to worry about this knight dropping into e5 with tempo. Okay, from here it is knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, b5, a b, newly opened file, white hops to it. This is the deepest intersection square white has available to him. Making use of it, rook on the 7th rank, and this kicks the queen back home. Now, surprisingly enough, the best move here is to go to b7, and this involves giving up a pawn. If rook b7, white could take advantage of the pinned rook with knight takes b5. But the computer's saying this is still a fine position for black. This is a really active queen. So this is maybe some of the compensation for black. Really active queen and safer king as well. Also, how valuable, another way to look at it is how valuable is this rook if it's allowed to be maintained on the 7th rank? Is it really a 5-point rook anymore? Maybe it is worth like 6 points. Okay, in any case, the queen is kicked back home. And now a very instructive move here by Ivanchuk. He ends up playing b4. So what is happening with b4? I think, this move b4, it's not considered the best move. Computer saying you could go for some line here with e5 and then f5. And if black's trying to kick away the knight now, you have some capture on f6 and then some sacrifice on d5. Okay. The second best move, the move played in the game, b4. This is a nice reminder of, when we're playing a game, what are we trying to do little by little? We can only make one move at a time, of course. We're trying to find ways to slowly improve our position, but there's not always going to be a way we could, make a move and it be an improvement. Sometimes we need to take some time out and secure our well-positioned piece. That's what's happening here. An improvement for black, if black was on move right now, an improvement for black would be to inconvenience a knight on c3. Some stabilizing move is in order here for white. b4 on board. This knight will not be kicked so fast. An additional point behind it, you do take away a square from the knight. Now, there are a lot of weaknesses as well white is creating with b4, I should mention. This is probably the biggest one. c4 is now whole. And, getting a knight here someday. Okay. There's some pros and cons with this move. It's more so about stabilizing the knight right now. From here, e5, many weaknesses in the position. c4 is weak in white's camp. Now d5 is weak in black's camp. Why is black playing in this way? Why is black giving this knight access to the d5 square? Well, he wants this knight to function. e5 is creating a square for the black knight. Now, there is a move here that may tempt a lot of players playing as white right here, but Ivanchuk was not tempted by this idea to capture the knight. In this game, the knight goes to d5. It may be tempting to take this knight and then exchange queens and then land another rook on the 7th rank. But this would be a really rare case where the white rooks really aren't so well positioned, surprisingly enough, because this guy is a reliable defender of g7. So it's like a 3-point piece is negating 10 points. And black could go on the offensive here, target the c2 pawn. So white is not lured into this optically, this somewhat appealing looking 2 rooks on the 7th rank variation. Improvement for the knight d5. From here, bishop g4, queen d2, and now knight to c6. So this last move, again, draws some attention to the f7 square. It's no longer as secure. There is a star move now for Team White in this position. Wonder if you can spot it. If you'd like to, go ahead, pause the video. What move would you play here as White? Okay, you ready to go? All right, the best move is g6. Now, I think many of you may have been thinking about rook takes pawn straight away. This is not working for white because white does not have any wonderful discovered check with the bishop. It'd be nice, though, if the bishop could get to g5 and say check. This is what the move g6 is setting up. Setting up some idea of a possible discovered check, setting up an idea to strike black's queen. Okay. In this game, knight takes rook is played. Let's have a look at the 2 different ways black can be capturing on g6. If f takes g6, white could continue with bishop g5, and there's a serious problem here for the black queen. If you move the knight to e7, there's this sacrifice on f8, and then you could pick your favorite way to capture on e7. If you're blocking with the bishop, there can follow knight takes bishop, and then black is in this pin, and white is on move, and can look to improve the queen. This is looking really good, hitting the bishop, also looking at queen f7 check. Okay, what other move might there be here for black? Queen c8 could be met with rook c7. If the queen goes here, you simply lose the knight. And if the queen goes here, check this move out. Queen c3. This is a beautiful move. Hitting the knight for a second time, and also threatening a checkmate in 2. With rook takes bishop, and then queen takes g7 mate. If black tries to stop it with knight e5, there's another point with the queen on c3. You ready? Rook a1, and the queen would be trapped. Okay, what is the queen, what is the white queen on c3 not doing? Okay, that's what could happen if black captures with the f-pawn. If this capture happens, now we could see this rook takes f7 move. If king takes rook in this position, now white would get the discovered check and next win the queen. Okay, in this game, the rook is captured. Pawn takes pawn check. King goes to the corner. And now, no capture of the rook just yet. First, an improvement of the bishop, bishop g5. If in this position the rook blocks, okay, in the game, first of all, the queen goes to d7. If the rook blocks, white could take the rook, and then one of the ways to win is to simply promote while the bishop is pinned. White is going to be winning the queen. If you're blocking with the bishop right now, okay, that's just going to end up losing a piece. You lose the rook and then the bishop. So in this game, what is tried? Queen d7. And now a bit of a humorous move here. I'm not sure the point of this one, but the rook is captured and Chucky promotes to a knight. Now, I don't know if there's some psychology going on with that move, like, Of course, if it's a white queen, you're going to have to take the queen. But I wonder, did black have to think for a little while longer? Like, you know what? Could I maybe get away with not taking the knight in this position? I don't know. I'm not sure the details on this one, but kind of an interesting move to see here, the under promotion to a knight. Either way, whatever it is, black's taking it. Rook takes knight. From here we have queen f2, queen functioning like a queen. On the file, on the diagonal, restricting the queen. From here, king g8. What piece is not playing for white? The light square bishop. e5 on board. This guy's eyes are now opened up. Two interesting squares for the bishop. From here, h6. Now, if this pawn is captured, we're basically going to have a similar follow-up in the game. So let's just see it. h6 on board. Knight b6 hitting the queen and also opening up d5 for the bishop. It's a very, very nice finish. Queen c7, bishop d5 check. King h7, bishop e4 check. King g8, knight d5. Look at how beautiful this is. The knight and the bishop. Excellent pieces. They are now in, all of the white pieces are in attacking, in an attacking position right here. Queen d7, one move out, and black resigns. Can you spot the final move? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, very nice touch. Very nice ending to this one. Knight e7, check, and black resigns. A great interference move. What are black's options if the game continued? If you take with the queen, you lose the queen. If you take with the rook, you lose your king. And if you take with the bishop, black doesn't control f7, and white could sneak in there with check, and then form this battery, and there is no good defense to queen h7 mate. You have to make silly moves like bishop here or queen here. Black goes no further, throws in the towel after this flashy final move, knight to e7. Anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.